Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined as always by my guy Nate Weitzer, holding it down on the East Coast with another great article up on playpicks.com for you guys. We are going to be jumping into some player props on today's NBA slate this Thursday night. As always, though, make sure you do subscribe and like to the page. And if you still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area. And before we jump into it, one more nugget to throw at you guys for today. If you do head to thelines.com and select that odds tab on the main homepage there, we have a very cool new tool for you that is about rest advantage, which is very huge in the NBA, especially as we know, as players continue to sit here and there on the second leg of back-to-backs and things of that nature. Definitely make sure you check that out. That's the Rest Advantage tool now on thelines.com. Another great place to also see rest advantage, whether or not some players might be injured or sitting out that night just for rest purposes if they are on the back of second leg of that back-to-back, as we mentioned. So make sure you check that out. And we are going to jump into the lines for today's NBA slate. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, I'm going to start with the Wizards hosting the Hawks, where neither team has a rest advantage, but both played last night and both got wins on the road. And I'm going to look at Trae Young for that reason, because Washington, I mean, we know they're a lot worse defensively last year, but we're talking about giving up 120 points per game and 13 threes per game when they were on 0 days rest. And Trae went off for 36.7 points per game on 50% field goal shooting in 3 meetings with them last year. He started the season a little bit slow in terms of his usage rate, just 31% through the first 2 games. That second one was a loss against Cleveland. And I think he said, you know what, I'm going to take over a little bit more here. Usage rate is up to nearly 35%. In his last 2, he's averaging 31.5 points per game and shooting 54% from the field. So that all sets up what I think is a 30-plus point game for Trae Young against this poor defensive team. You can get plus 182 odds at FanDuel for him to go over 30, or you can be a bit more conservative and just take his straight prop, which is 25.5 points. You get negative odds there, but I think he has a very good chance of getting at least 26 with both defenses kind of tired at this point, and Trae is a guy who never really seems too tired, riding plenty of momentum from his playoff run last year, and surely will be locked in for this division matchup.
Yeah, that all adds up. It's really about Trae on those 0 days rest. It's wild how good he is. He doesn't seem to get tired. And really, I was watching that Hawks-Pellies game last night as I had a little tease on it that worked out. That line was originally Hawks 5.5, teased that down to about 1.5, and they won by 3, which was great for me. And I was watching that going, is Trae going to take over at some point? Because they could never pull away from the Pellies. And I think that's the mentality that you see from him when they are on 0 days rest is, I got this, I'm tireless. And I'm obviously going to have to pick up some of the slack for some of the guys on my team who are a little bit older and a little bit more tired, a little bit more easily. So, yeah, feeling really good about Trae against a Wizards team that doesn't play defense and a team that he always shows up against. So moving on to another game that will be out here on the West Coast, Nate, we've got the Golden State Warriors hosting the Memphis Grizzlies. And this is, a little bit of a revenge game. The spread's pretty high for a Memphis Grizzlies team that's come out and shown a big increase. Obviously, that highly contributable to John Morant clearly taking another step, seeming a little bit stronger and taking over a little bit more. Still waiting for his shooting numbers to pick up a bit, but he's getting better this season. So either way, they're a very, very good offensive team right now is Memphis, and just as equally as bad of a defensive team as they have the worst defensive rating, and just really running through all of how bad they are on defense. Worst defensive rating, bottom 5, and things such as fast break points given up, second chance points, points in the paint. They're all in bottom 10, and they're allowing 40% from 3 right now, which is a huge reason that they're giving up so many points and their defensive rating is so bad. Teams are shooting 40% or better from 3 against them right now, which is second worst in the league. And so you enter Steph Curry at home, new look Warriors from the sense that they're a little bit younger and faster this year. Steph obviously looks healthy, and the emergence of Jordan Poole is huge, as well as obviously like the additions of Nemanja Bjelica, who gets his courtesy shout out per episode. And so, I think what I'm looking at for Steph is either, one, starting with his total points, rebounds, and assists. I really like that because of his career versus Memphis. He's averaging about 27 points, 5 boards, 7 assists. So 44.5 points, rebounds, and assists tonight for Steph against Memphis. A big reason I like that bet is seeing what he's done so far this season in those hustle stats and assists as well. Right, he's averaging 29 points, 8 boards, and 6 boards and 8 assists so far a game this season. So I really feel good about his ability to get those and get them up there. If you also like him to get 8 assists and a Golden State Warriors victory tonight, that's plus 290 on your money, I believe, on FanDuel. So that's something worth grabbing as well. I really like that one for Steph and the Dubs, who I'm liking these player performance doubles because that 6-point spread scares me a bit. But I do think they're going to pull out the victory tonight and get a ton of points.
Yeah, that's a good call. I mean, my first inclination would be just take points with Steph Curry. But then, looking at his game log, he has really been piling up peripheral stats this year. Last year, he was getting no assists because there was nobody on the Warriors to get assists too. But he has 2 10-assist games this year, and they came against better teams defensively, the Kings and the Lakers, teams that try to take away what he does, teams with athletic guards like Ja Morant, who will try to run him off the line and force him to make plays, which he can do. And Memphis, just the pace they're playing at, is going to produce a lot more rebounds. They're playing some small ball for sure. So Steph will be mixing it up in there, getting those boards. I like that overall PRA. Good call there. One game I'm looking at some unders though is the Jazz at the Rockets. Utah has just been unbelievable this year, just dominating in terms of margin of victory, in terms of defensive stats. Houston, we know, is not a very good team, at very, very inexperienced at this point. It's hard to imagine them keeping pace with the Utah Jazz, which never seem to let up in the regular season. The number 1 3-point defense is Utah. And so that's why I'm just looking at Donovan Mitchell not needing to hit 4 threes. You can get plus money, plus 120 at DraftKings for him to hit under 3.5 threes, which he did last season, just 2.8 threes per game at 28% in 4 meetings with the Rockets. If you just look at his wins, his numbers, he averages 3 triples on 7.5 attempts in wins since the start of last season, whereas he attempts more threes, as you would expect, 8.5 in losses. So and Houston's playing with such pace too. They're playing third in pace, and they're giving up a ton of fast break points that I could see Mitchell getting more of his buckets in transition, attacking the hoop. He's not necessarily going to have to slow it down and pull from deep to get his points against this team. So that's why I would be attacking the 3-pointers made rather than looking at his points, because we know he can get 26 in a flash, even if he's sitting the whole fourth quarter.
Totally, yeah. I'm always terrified of taking Donovan under stats just because of his random explosions. To your point, and he had a good one game in the regular season that was solid against the Rockets last season. They obviously the Jazz handled business against them each of those 3 times. I think they actually only covered once, which was interesting, but they still averaged about 15 points in terms of margin of victory. And you could see this one get out of hand really quick if the Jazz mean business tonight, which would obviously mean Donovan less time with the ball in his hands, et cetera. So feeling good about that one with you as well. And then one more for us today on our player props, Nate, for Thursday night. Going with Julius Randle, and I'm a little bit scared only of the bet that I really like for him, which is 25 points and a Knicks victory tonight against the Bulls there. I mean, last year against the Bulls, he averaged 28 points. I believe it was like 8 boards and 5 assists a game against them, as I kind of mentioned in that Bulls Knicks video that we have for you up today as well. And so, there's nobody on the Bulls to stop Julius Randle, and they haven't added anybody to do that either at this point. As we mentioned in the other video as well, as soon as Vucevic came to the team last year and he was their predominant big man, Randle went off, and then the Knicks blew them out by like 30 points or something. So, continue to feel really good about that, but it's plus 390 on FanDuel for Julius Randle to get those 25 points and a Knicks victory, which the only reason that scares me is because it's like, do you guys know something that I don't? Are you putting stock in the Bulls' early season defensive prowess? They have the second best defensive rating, but they're still giving up points in the paint, and that's where Jay Randall, I think, is going to go to work. So, I would consider his total points, rebounds, and assists as he puts up numbers against his team as well. But really, that plus 390 to get 25 and a victory for the Knicks, I'm going to sit on that all day. And I would even consider sprinkling a little bit on Fournier to get 20 points and a Knicks victory as well. That's plus 630 on your money. Bet $100 to win $630 for Fournier to drop 20. He's averaging 19 and a half. Drop 20 against some guards on the other side that don't do it defensively, right? Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, not known as defensive, stoppers. And I really don't think Caruso is going to come in and give Fournier too much trouble, who's much bigger as well. So both of those sprinkle a little bit on there, obviously relying on the Knicks to win, but that's how I feel that game's going to go anyway. So why not put their two best scorers, into some player performance doubles there.
Yeah, I think Randall there's just been such a balanced attack for the Knicks that sometimes he'll dip below 25, and that's why you're getting such good odds. But with the odds, yeah, I like either of those bets because I fully expect the Knicks to win this game, which we talked about in the episode. They're even money on the money line. So I would definitely look at these player performance doubles. I'd look at Kemba, see what his player performance doubles are as well, because, yeah, you mentioned Fournier's matchup. There are some rangy guards out there that could give him trouble, but Kemba has been killing on the pick and roll, and we'll see if the Bulls are able to negate that at all.
How about this one for Kemba? And this is to the tune of what do we have here? You have a couple with him. Plus 750 to get 20 in a win. That scares me a little bit. But Kemba to get 5 assists and a Knicks victory is also plus 630, similar to that Fournier points bet. So, yeah. I
would take the points. Yeah, I'd take plus 750. Thank you. Yeah, because the Knicks are going to need – they're going to need him to get about 20 in this game. This is going to be a competitive game against a team that tries to take away what they do best. And I think both teams are defending the paint pretty well. And so maybe Randall doesn't get his and Kemba does. But I'm glad that we had yet another player props episode where we talk about Orange Julius, because what would it be about that?
Yeah, my guy is crushing right now. Really looking forward to watching that one tonight. The Knicks and Bulls are back. It's going to be a fun time on the East Coast. But that is all the time that we have for our player props video today. I'll make sure you like and subscribe to that video and page. We will continue to roll on with this NBA season, having some fun with these player props especially. And until we see you all again, happy betting.